I did not turn on the mic. That was my fault, guys. Didn't turn on the mic. Again, I'm going to replay it. Welcome to the Fifth Dimensional Women. It's been one of those mornings with the Garden of Enlightenment. My name is Jennifer.
My name is Stephanie.
Yes, sorry about that, guys. That was all my fault. Can't blame anybody on. I didn't put my little sticky note to say turn on the sound. Welcome to everybody who is joining us today. We decided to switch it up a little bit because we wanted to do videos that specifically hone in on things that you can work on or to do to get unstuck, start living, standing in your power, start living in prosperity. And today's video is all about feeling alone.
Yes, and I'm actually glad that Jen thought about because I really think that this is something that we need to be touching on. We've all, especially lately, are experiencing it one way or another. So I'm glad that we're going to touch base because, as Jen and I were talking earlier, this is the time where we need to step out and start working on ourselves. And we have some pretty good tips and ideas. Jen?
Yes. So the feelings of alone have been coming up a lot lately. And I was talking to Stephanie about this because this is something that I personally have had to do a tremendous amount of work on. You are talking to somebody who did not like to be by herself. She was never comfortable in silence. And I was so scared to be alone. And now I'm to the point where I am perfectly all right with being alone. And one of the things that I notice of where, this stems from, and, we do a lot of, I'm a deprogrammer. So when we come into this world, we don't have, it's just wide open. And throughout our lives, these things happen to us and we start to put up blocks and, different attachments that keep us from moving forward in life. And with me, what it was it stemmed from abandonment issues. Now, abandonment issues don't just necessarily happen in this timeline. It happens throughout other timelines, and that's what people need to realize, that we're immortal beings, we're souls, and we're temporarily having a human experience, but we also carry memories and trauma and everything into the different time lives that we live. So abandonment is a big one. And so I kind of wanted to bring that to the forefront, that if you are having those feelings of being alone, start to analyze if it is something that is connected with abandonment. I'm going to say 95% of the time it is.
That's right. And in some cases, it's as easy as a lot of people have a hard time looking at their own stuff. And when we're alone, it automatically brings us back to ourselves, right? So a lot of people have that fear of having to work on their own stuff. It's not pretty and it's not nice to look at. But as Jen says, when you can get to that point of being able, and it doesn't just mean being alone as in there's nobody around you or you have no kids in the house or any significant others, because that's just one form of being alone, is being able to sit in your own space. That means working on your own stuff without having to reach out.
You kind of froze there for a moment, Stephanie.
And don't get us wrong, oh yeah, and you just did too, Jen.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So yes, this is why I feel that this is a good topic to bring up too, Jen, because there are so many different forms of feeling alone. There's, like you said, there's that whole abandonment. Then there's that working on yourself,
on being dark night of the soul. you touched on that. That's exactly what it is, and that's happening a lot lately. And people, that are new, what is the dark night of the soul? That is where you're pretty much pushed to a point to where you have no choice but to face that icky things, those dark things, that trauma that happened to you when you were younger. And it goes after that, it goes back into embracing your inner child, and finding and remembering who you were prior to all of that stuff coming in. And that's why I'm okay with being alone now. I mean, you have to be comfortable within your own skin and with your own vessel to get to that point. And if you're not, it is doing that work with the dark night of the soul, and clearing out all that trauma, the limiting beliefs, all the programming that has been instilled in you that holds you back, and learning how to embrace your inner child.
Yes. And as Jen says, sometimes it goes back even further, because these are conditions that we've brought in on previous lives. And they kind of snowball into each other. So there are, as Jen and I were talking about beforehand, there are ways that we can give you a few tips on how to deal with these feelings and emotions if and when they do come up.
Yes. So everyone goes through their life of having this feeling of being alone, and it's not a comfortable feeling for a lot, especially when you have people that are close to you, your loved ones, your soul family. I had spoke on this a little bit last year, not in a video, but I was talking to Stephanie, that, the guidance that I was getting, they were telling me that I needed to be prepared for if something happened to anybody that was close to me in my life, or a situation that was happening in my life. I needed to be prepared to get myself right, because I am a light worker, I'm a way shower. And it is, being comfortable when something like that happens. And lo and behold, I had something happen to someone that is really close to me, and it was almost a life and death situation. And I really had that brought a lot to my to my awareness. I still had a little bit further work to do, but with the situation, if I had not done the internal work, could have completely traumatized me. I'm not gonna lie. So what did I do, and how did I get to that point? Well, it is writing a lot. Writing is one. Writing, journaling. I do this a lot with helping people to, go through the dark night of the soul and start to clear out their junk. So it's something that I'm familiar with. But, when these feelings come up, take the time to step back and write about it. Try to pinpoint what it is.
Yeah, that's one of the best things to do, is getting it out, because what you're doing is you're not just writing it out, you're releasing as you write it out. And sometimes it's just taking those small little steps. And don't be afraid to reach out either. I mean, Jen and I are very fortunate. We do have each other, and we do reach out to each other quite often when we go through certain things in our life. But if you don't have that support, there's groups out there, and we're there as well. And don't be afraid to reach out to us, because we have gone through this, and we still, in most cases, still have those feelings that do still come up. And it's a form of healing in itself, and it's working on being comfortable about being alone. And I think that's hard for anybody, because, Jen, we're surrounded by people every day, but you can still be in a crowd and feel alone. And yes. I think I think 99.9% of the people out there have had that feeling of that real aloneness. So I think a lot of people can relate to this.
Yes. So Let's see, what's another way that you can help with the aloneness is get outside and connect with nature.
Yeah, do something that you enjoy. Get yourself out of that headspace and change that train of thought. Absolutely.
Yes, getting out of yourself is a perfect one. Um, there's other things that you can do is, like Stephanie did say, you reach out to people. I know a lot of light workers and people that are awake and know what's going on. The feeling of aloneness is really coming up a lot, because we're on a different level. So when we try to communicate with people that are still asleep or almost there, it's like it's a different frequency. It's not going to match. But that is you're exactly where you need to be. That is okay. When you take a moment and step back and journal and figure out what it is, why are you uncomfortable with being alone, and starting to work on that, people that are in your soul family that you are truly meant to connect with are going to start to surface. Stephanie is part of my soul family. That's why she started, she came into my life, or we came into each other's life, because we're on a similar level. But me and Stephanie have also talked about, like, if the internet goes down or whatever like that, like I talk to her on a daily basis. I don't think, 2 days have gone without us talking. I have to be okay with, if a week happens or something, like she was going to go on vacation with her mom. I didn't want to bombard her. It is me getting comfortable with knowing that I don't need another person to satisfy myself.
That's well put, Jen. I'm actually glad that you brought that up, because sometimes we get into that habit where when we do, and there's no harm in having that connection and being able to help each other out. But Jen made a perfect point. What happens when you get to that point in your life where you are alone and you have to look at these answers for yourself? You have to be okay with that, where it's not going to overwhelm you, or bring you down, bring your level of vibration down. So that's what we're trying to tell you guys, is there's so many people out there that are feeling this right now, that whole alone. And there's lots of different techniques to use, and that's why we thought we'd do this video, so that we can at least give you guys a little bit of tips, so that when you are going through this, as Jen says, we've talked almost every single day, and I've had to look at it like, oh my gosh, if there was a day where I think it was 2 days I didn't talk to her, and it was like, when you're so used to having somebody there for you and not having them there all of a sudden, brings your perspectives back, going, oh my goodness, I never realized how much I really rely on this person. So I'm glad that you brought that up, Jen.
So to get back on different ways, that journaling, connecting with nature, meditating is going to allow you to start doing that inner reflection. If things are coming up and triggering you in your life, or you don't want to face, or out for me, when I say journaling and figuring out what emotion you're having, I for a long time didn't know what I was feeling. So you can Google and pull up a feelings chart, and I used that for a long time to help me identify with what exactly I was feeling. When you meditate, you're going to start doing that inner reflection, and those are things that, when stuff comes up to the surface, don't stop stuffing. That's why, and I am also a firm believer that the first time you start to do the deep soul work, it's the hardest. That is the hard. It's, walk through the fire. It's what people push off the most, is the self reflection. But the more that you get into the habit of doing these things, the more that you're not going to be so uncomfortable with being alone. So meditation can bring up a lot of things for you that will allow you to see what you need to work on or where your triggers are as well.
Yes, and maybe a small little step that you could do is get to know yourself. There's a good start. Even if you write down on a piece of paper 5 things about yourself. What's your favorite color? Where's your favorite place to go? And just get to know yourself.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, uh, that's perfect point because I didn't know who I was for a long time. And that's because I was always worried about somebody else. I was always doing what somebody else had told me or what I thought that I needed to do to please this person. All of those different programs that come in, a lot of us don't even know who we truly are. And that is why you have those feelings of not wanting to be scared of being alone, is that it's being comfortable within your skin. Me, I can't speak for everybody, this is just for me, but I did not come down here to specifically focus on relationships with people. I came down here because I have a higher calling and a bigger mission of what's currently going on in the world. The relationships are going to come, but I needed to be prepared if something was to happen. It's a benefit, but I'm here to work on me, to satisfy me, to love me. And as selfish as some people can take that, it's not. I say this all the time. It's just like in the airplane. You cannot help another person if you are not doing the work yourself. It's not taking what we say as face value. It is taking this and doing it yourself and walking the talk.
Mhm. And lead by example too. Believe it or not, your children watch you. Not so much of what you say, but what you do. So them watching you take care of yourself will instill those same values in themselves, and they'll start doing the same.
Yes. Another thing that just came through, and we'll kind of wrap up this video. The feeling of not being alone and